All right, in this video, we're going to work the following problem. It says write a JavaFX program that converts miles to kilometers and vice versa. The GUI should have two text fields, one for miles and one for kilometers. If you enter a value in the miles text field and press the enter key, the corresponding kilometer value is displayed in the kilometers text field. Likewise, if you enter a value in the kilometer text field and press the enter key, the corresponding mile value is displayed in the miles text field. Okay. So to get started, we are going to create a new class. I'll call mine converts km miles, and like all of the JavaFX applications that we write in this class, it should be a child class of the application class. So we're going to need a number of imports, right? JavaFX.application.application and JavaFX.stage.stage, JavaFX.scene.scene. We are going to need something for the root container. So let's just use a pane. So it's going to be scene.layout.pane, I believe, and scene.control.asterisk for the text fields and a couple of labels. Oops, that's going to be scene. All right, and we will need to give an implementation for the start method. And let's go ahead and knock that out. So create a root component. And then create a scene object. Let's just go 400, 300. And then stage.set scene. And the new scene that we created. Stage.set title. And then show the scene. All right, let's try that out. And is that just let's see, that's just show. No argument in there. All right, so it looks okay so far. All right, next up then we want to start adding our components in there. So let's go with two labels. And two text fields. Okay, and let's try that. All right, so far so good. All right, next up is we need to position these things within the GUI. So let's go with on the KN label, we're going to relocate it with pane, right? You just specify the coordinates that you want to put it at. So let's go with 100, 100, and with the miles label, let's go with 100, 200. Let's see, it's a typo. All right, compiling this again. Okay, looks like it's going. And nothing, right? Because I forgot to add those things in there. So let's do that. Root dot get children. That returns the list of all the children, and we want to add all, and then KM label, miles label. All right, so there are the labels, and then what we'll do is just put the text fields right next to these labels here. All right, so KM text field dot relocate, and let's go with 200 and just a little bit up from 100 on that one, and for the miles, $200 and a little bit up from the other one. And let's not forget to add those in this time. Okay, so there we go. Looks okay. All right. So next up, right, what we want to do is to actually make it right so that these actions are performed right when the user clicks enter inside the text field. Right now, nothing happens. Right, if you click enter inside one of those text fields, we need to add some code, right, so that that happens. So, all right, and so what we're going to do is for the KM text field, we will have call the set on action method, right? And inside here we are going to have a method call, right? And that method call is going to handle the event that's generated. And then what we're going to do is go down here and add a method. Remember, later on, we're going to be separating this code as our applications get more and more complicated. And likewise, we are going to have a method for calculate kilometers. All right, and then we will make sure to go to the miles text field and call the set on action method, and inside have a lambda expression that calls this calculate KMs method. Okay. All right, everything looks good so far. All right, so now what we want to do next up is actually have this actually calculate some values. All right, so starting with calculate miles. All right, so what we're going to do is when we want to calculate the miles, right, that's going to be triggered from the KM text field. So what we are going to do is get the input from the KM text field. All right, and see what the user typed in. The KM text field, we're going to get that out, store that as a string, right? And then what we'll need to do is change that to a double. And so that will be double dot parse double KM string. Okay. And then calculate the miles. And that would be the number of kilometers times 0.6. All right, and then so that makes the calculation, and then next up, right, what we want to do is to put that value back in the miles text field, right? So what we would do is do miles dot text field dot get our set text, and then whatever the converted value is. And let's say we want to do it to 2 decimal places. So string dot format miles val, and then we want it rounded to 2 decimal places. So %.2f. Like so. All right, we're going to compile this. It's not going to work, right? And so we're going to have to fix a couple of things in order for this to be accurate. Okay, so the first error that we get is on line 33, right? We get that we cannot find this symbol, KM text field. All right, KM text field, it was declared up here on line 16, right? So the scope of this, right, is going to be from here to here in this block, right? So that's the part of the program that we can use, KM text field. Okay, and here we are down here trying to use that value. Okay, so that's not going to work. So what we want to do is just go up here and move the declaration up higher, right, in the program. So, and this is, one way to handle it. There are some other ways, but for right now, we'll just do it like this. So make the declaration up here. So text field, KM text field, right here. And then take away the type because it's already been declared up here. So now, right, the scope of this KM text field variable is here, right? And so so we shouldn't have that problem anymore. So let's compile. All right, next up we get the same error, right, for miles text field right here. So let's fix that. And we're just going to fix that in the same way. All right, everything looks okay, so let's give it a shot and see how it goes. All right, so 5K, right, should be about 3.1 miles roughly. All right, and you can see we are getting a lot of errors here, and that's fairly common. Going back through here, okay, you can see that we get this problem right here, null value, null pointer exception, right, convert miles, Java, line 29, right, and this convert miles.java, line 21 right here. So 39 is this line here. Okay. That looks fine. All right, and then that problem stemmed from 21. That seems okay too. So let's take a look and see. Calculate. KMs. Just making sure that this is exactly what I have down here. Oh. What's this one? Calculate miles. Well, seems okay. Now let's just try this and test it out. Something there that I'm not quite picking up on. Oh. Oh yeah. Right here. All right. I forgot to remove this declaration right here, so that should fix it. There we go. All right, that's better. So let's put this back and run it again. All right, so 5K should give us 3.1. So the conversion factor is not that great. 8 miles or 8K should be about 5 miles. So maybe it's my conversion factor is off a little bit. Is it? It's 6.4 or something like that. That's too much. So it's So if I do 6.3 is what it was, 0.63. Okay. All right, so 5, right, should gives about 3.1. 8K is about 5 miles. Okay, that looks better. All right, so everything's going great so far, right? And the issue is what happens if the user enters some letters, right? And that's going to cause the program's not going to crash. It's still going to keep going, but you can see it generates all of these errors right here. All right, and what we get is this number format exception. Now we can handle that number format exception. So that's what we're going to do. Or need to do here. We're going to put this in a try block. And then we have a catch block, right? All right, and so now the question is, what are we going to do to try to catch this, right? If we just compile it and run it now, now we're not going to get those crashes, right? But when we hit enter, but nothing happens, right? So we kind of want something else to happen. At least tell the user what to do. You don't want to print it down here in the console, right? Because of the fact that the user's not going to be able to see anything that happens down here. Okay, so what we're going to do is pop up something called an alert. So that's JavaFX alert. All right, and an alert will just pop up a little box and say, hey, and you can put some messages on there. Okay. All right, so the first thing that we would do is to create an alert object. And there are several types of alerts that we can use. And you can take a look at these values. There's somewhere in here. Actually, if we look here on this, it will alert type. You can see the different values that you can have in this enum type. Confirmation, error, information, none, warning. So, all right. So you can have these different types that pop up, different types of alert. The alerts have a title, so we can set that. And to make the alert pop up, you would do alert show and wait. We're also going to have the alert itself in there, so as an import. So that is in JavaFX. Okay, it's a control, so we shouldn't have to add that in there because we have the wildcard for control. But alert type we don't have, right? So alert type is scene.control.alert under .alert type. So we'll need to add that in there. All right. Capital A alert. Okay, and so now when I type some stuff in there, I get this alert value. It pops up. Okay. You can see still the message is not great, right? So what you can do is to set some text up here on the header and some other text down here in the bottom part of the alert. And so the way you would do that is to do set header text, and you can put whatever text in there. That's a little bit over the top, right, for this, but and then another message. And here I'm just going to spit back to the user what they typed in, so they know absolutely it's their fault, not ours. And I'll need to put that in a string.dot format. Okay, let's try that and see. And I spelled alert wrong. And KM string. So right here, KM string is out of scope, right? It's declared here. So we can just move that up to the top above the try block. That's not the code that is causing the issue, right? The code that's causing the issue is when we try to convert that, right? So that should fix that error. All right, so here we go. Just verify that it's working okay. All right, and now the user types in some letters, and boom, it pops up the alert. And now you can see it's a better, more descriptive of what's going on here. You can see this is the header text that we added in, and this is the content text that appears down here. All right, and so we have we show the user what they entered there. Now the program's going to wait for this box for the user to either X out of it or click OK, and then we can go back here and type in more values if we want. Okay. All right. So that's pretty good. We are almost all the way there. Basically, what we would do is just kind of duplicate this code for the calculate KMs box, right? Almost exactly the same. So we have our try block. Up here, what we would do is get the miles as a string. And then make the conversion. And so the conversion is going to be miles val times 1.6, 8 divided by 5. Okay, and then same thing, then we would set the KM's text field dot set text string dot format %. 0.2f, and then km val. All right, and that's what we need on the try block, and then likewise this catch block is exactly the same. All right, so for right now I'm just gonna copy and paste this. You can make this less code than what we have here, but I'm just going to go ahead and do that in this video. All right, and so that seems like what we want. That is km. Nope, I'll just have the extra k at the beginning of that. And this, it's km text field, yeah. And this is miles string, not km string. All right, let's test it out and see if it'll work. All right, so for miles, 5 miles is around 8K, right? So you can see it there. 3.1 miles is about 5K. Okay, so that looks like it's working okay. If I type some garbage in here, then I get the alert that pops up. If I click in the other box and hit enter, then it will convert and display the value down here. Okay. All right, and that is it on this one.